Hello, this is a super speedy tutorial on how I got this sketchy effect on my 3D model. Number one, the line art modifier, which gets applied to the, here I'll show you, it gets applied to the entire outline of the character. And when you turn around in the viewport, you'll notice that this line art looks totally jank from different angles. And that's because it completely depends on the position of the camera. So if you move the camera around, you'll notice that the line adjusts accordingly. To add this, you go into Add, Grease Pencil, either collection line art or object line art. In this case, I used a collection. I applied my line art to an entire collection. My elephant collection here, because it has two objects inside of it. But that's up to you. Anyways, I applied it to my elephant, and there are a lot of tutorials on how to use the line art modifier in different ways, so I won't get into too much detail here. The main aspects is that I set it to contour. I didn't use intersections, but I did have it turned on for material borders here, so that it would go along the hands, the sleeve here. And some very basic noise. If you want to not animate your line, you can turn off randomize and it won't animate at all, or you can adjust how quickly the noise animates. Every 2 frames, every 4 frames, every however frames you want. Another thing I noticed is that if you do add a subdivide afterwards, which kind of smooths everything out, if you're changing the settings here, you won't see the differences inside the viewport right away. And I noticed that I had to change it, and like I had to turn off the display and then turn it back on again to see the changes that I made. On off, which is like a little bit annoying, but whatever. And now, a hot tip that I didn't use in this rig, but I feel like could be really useful for some people. You can go into edit mode of your mesh and select the edge seams, and you can right click and choose mark freestyle edge. Ooh. And what that'll do is that it's going to see those edges that you just marked as, part of it. It'll show it like forcibly, I guess. So if the line art modifier is losing certain details, for example, maybe on the ear, I kind of want this ear, so I can select a loop edge by holding Alt and pressing on the edge that has a loop. I can say mark freestyle edge, and now it'll show a line there all the time, but I don't want that there, so I'm gonna undo all of that. Now moving on to these separated details that I've drawn onto my character. These are separate grease pencil objects and that I've attached to the bone, and the way that I do that is I press Shift A, I add a stroke, I go into edit mode, delete all of that, whatever that is, because I don't want it, and then I go into draw mode. And inside draw mode in this tab here, it'll usually be placed on origin, but in this case I want it to be placed on surface. And so when I draw on the surface, it's going to draw right on my elephant's forehead. And I'll just draw something quickly as an example. I've drawn that, but when I go into pose mode, it's not attached. So the way that I attach my grease pencil object to the bone is that I go into edit mode of the armature. So I select my armature, go into edit mode, and then I select the bone that I want to target, which is the head bone, and then I go back into object mode, and then I select the grease pencil, and then I shift select the armature, press Ctrl P, and parent to bone. And now when I move this bone, the heart will move along with it, which is great. And also, when I go into the draw mode of the object, I can animate all the different motions that I want to happen, and it will all be attached to my armature. So in this case, it works really well for if I want my character to blink or something. I can delete the current eyes. Ugh. And here I made a new keyframe with the elephant blinking, and then I selected the first keyframe, pressed Shift D to duplicate it, and I moved it aside this. So now it just looks like I'm doing a little blink. Can delete that. And boop. Those are the basics on how to get this 3D but with a sketchy 2D look character going. Yep. Bye.